More than 2 decades after First Wednesday Art Walk began with a vision of defibrillating downtown Jacksonville, big changes are coming. Here to discuss the issue of new vendor fees from a variety of perspectives, we're joined by Sherry Shine, artist and jewelry maker and regular Art Walk vendor. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning.
Tony Allegretti, currently the Chief Community Officer of Sporting Jacks, but for our purposes today, co-founder of First Wednesday Art Walk. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Ian.
Mal Jones, MC and host of the Freestyle Live rap event at Art Walk, the Lyricist Live. Mal, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
And Michael Taylor, vendor and artist behind the Temple Animus imprint. Good morning, Michael.
Morning.
So, Tony, let's start back in the halcyon days of Art Walk, pre-controversy. You were deeply involved in setting this up. Can you remind us what the setting was downtown back when Art Walk started and what you hope to create with it?
Sure. Like many good ideas, this was stolen from the first Thursday Art Walk in Seattle. My sister lived there and went over there, and it was just brilliant that all the doors are open, lofts downtown, but also the restaurants and the galleries, et cetera. It was just a great night out. It was always free and always a ton of people. And so I said, this is something that we could do here in Jacksonville. We've got this deep pool of creative talent and all these really kind of flexible spaces downtown and all these great entrepreneurs. And so we set it up. It was very small. The idea, though, was to have folks go into places, right? So it was very much a way to augment foot traffic and get people downtown. We did it on the first Wednesday of the month so that people could make rent. It was a very big thing, if you're a retailer or a restaurateur, to have Art Walk right at the beginning was really helpful. And we did it on Wednesday because at that time, Mocha, which was actually Jamoma, this is how long ago it was not open on Thursday night. And so Wednesday was it, and that's why it's the first Wednesday Art Walk.
And they were one of several anchors. I mean, in addition to the work that you did founding this, Downtown Vision Incorporated, which I think also maybe had a different name at the time.
No, it was still DVI.
It was DVI?
Yeah,
okay.
Yep.
They are an organization that helps downtown businesses, represents them, helps.
So I had to pitch it to DVI. Their board had a lot of questions. How many people did we think we were going to be out? I totally made it up. I said, maybe 500. We never had less than 1,000 that first year. There was only 8 stops. We highly sort of not subsidized, induced folks to come. In fact, we gave away, there was a closet here where, and WJCT's always been was always a sponsor, which was excellent. It really helped. But Jazz Fest poster. So if you went to all 8 spots and came back to headquarters, you would get a vintage Jazz Fest poster. And we had like little enticements like that to get people out. And it was great. It was really helpful to the downtown economy.
And so it involved downtown businesses, downtown galleries, certainly, and Mocha was a big part of that. But vendors were always part of the mix.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And in the park, eventually the park really became sort of the HQ. I think it became a little, just over time, it's become more festivalized. Like one of the sort of mantras behind it was, don't make it something that it's not any other day, right? So like if you went to Mocha, you're going to see this, Mocha's open, right? Other days of the week. So it was a way to test, get your toe into what's happening downtown without porta potties, without cops, and without, blocking streets and all that. It's become more festivalized, which means it's more expensive now. So it's kind of lost that.
When did that happen?
It's over time, Ian. I think it's just, and some of it, I believe, is because of just the crowds, right? So like the streets weren't always blocked off. That's a pretty, I'd say, last 5-year scenario. But it's just it's just gotten bigger, and that's great. But also, I don't know that it's as helpful to those restaurants and entrepreneurs anymore. There's no retail right now. That we've kind of lost that when Wolf and Cub went. That was kind of the last man standing, and that's a bummer. It's not really a good environment for restaurants, in my opinion. It's very difficult. And then we're importing food trucks, and those guys aren't paying rent every month. They're paying DVI, which is fine. I mean, I think it's just a sort of it's a philosophy change with it,
Mm.
which I mean, everything changes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The only thing that's consistent is change.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we should say the park at the time had a different name as well, and you're a vendor there, Michael. James Weldon Johnson Park is kind of still the centerpiece, but it has expanded its footprint. It's a larger event than it was initially. What appeals to you about being a vendor at Art Walk? When did you start, and what kind of visibility has it provided to you?
I started around maybe 23,
Uh-huh.
2023. Some major changes is it was very small before. It still had some crowds coming, but as far as the vendor list, wasn't too many vendors that you would see there. If you talk to them, there's a lot of regulars, right? People that were already vending and sending a bunch of years already and things like that. And now over the years, what you see is just you still see some of those regulars every now and again, but you see a lot of new faces. Like they're sort of like siphoning out different people, if you will. And it's definitely a larger crowd. Um, it's a bit more intense, I guess you could say. And I guess they're just trying to keep up with that. And I guess that's about where the cost is coming from.
Yeah. And so what is the cost gonna mean to you? I mean, we should say that the fees, which were initially charged just for folks who set up in James Weldon Johnson Park are now going to be charged to any vendor that's sort of in this, footprint of the event. It's gonna be $45 a year, to apply. There's also going to be then a monthly fee as well. How is that gonna impact you?
It's gonna make it's gonna mean that for myself and most other vendors who don't budget vending, if you don't already, right, you're gonna have to start putting vending as a budget, just so you know what you're putting out, so that you know what you're gonna be able to get back in for whatever you're vending.
Is it going to be prohibitively expensive for you to do it, or is it a expense that you can afford and just work into your model?
You're gonna have to work it into your model, but it's gonna start out being more expensive, because it's a change, right?
Yeah.
Just like Tony said, any change is it's just gonna kind of mess you up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, um, a lot of times though, you'll notice a lot of people are somewhat prepared for it, but it's more or less like a thing of like there's no real communication of why the change is happening. You know what I mean? It's just like here's a new pricing.
Yeah.
You know, you're either in or you're out.
Sherry, we should say, first of all, you're a veteran. Happy Veterans Day to you.
Yes, thank
Thanks
you,
for your
Sherry.
thank
Veterans Day.
thanks for your service. You are a vendor there, and I know that you've expressed sort of a perspective from both sides. I mean, it's going to hit some vendors. Not everybody loves the idea of this additional fee, but there are also rising costs associated with the event. What is your perspective on, how this is going to impact you, your business, and then the people that you work alongside?
Well, the impact on me is really not as much as other people because I've always vended inside the park. The application fee is a little bit different, but I'm really accustomed to paying application fees. And what I've learned over a number of years is that normally when there's an application fee, that gives one indication that it might be a quality event versus somebody versus an event that just takes anybody who comes along.
Hmm.
So it doesn't really bother me, but I do have to factor it into my expenses.
Do you think that there has been, I mean, have there been conversations about the quality of vendors at Art Walk or wanting to make that a more selective process?
I haven't heard any conversations like that, although I feel, I always go through and scan the competition, and there seem to be pretty high quality vendors there.
Yeah. So, Mal, your situation is a little different. You have been at Art Walk for the past 14 years, and your artistry is a vocal artistry. I mean, you're a rapper. You do this live event called the
Yes.
Lyricist Live, and it is, a traditional kind of pass the mic circle. You call it a cipher, but it's
Yep.
basically where people come, they listen, sometimes they participate, and it's got a very infectious vibe. Um, But you're not just like another vendor because you have had a special relationship with DVI in the past. Can you kind of explain how you began and how that evolved?
Okay, well, I started hosting the Lyricist live like back in 2011 as a way to like highlight the hip hop community in my city because, like Tony said, there's a lot of artists in this city. It's like uh, there's a huge influence on the music community of Florida right through Jacksonville. There's a lot of major artists that live here, and even just recently in May, Hulu had came down and flew out for a documentary about um, Jacksonville artists and the violent crime that they're, uh, they're participating in when it comes to rap music in Jacksonville. And me doing this hip hop cipher for so long in Jacksonville, it's not just any hip hop cipher. It promotes education, no cursing, no violence, and we've been doing that. So ABC uh, found when they were doing their research about the documentary that they wanted to do on Jacksonville violent crime and with hip hop artists, they said, "Hey, we were doing our research and we found that in the city of Jacksonville, where these rappers are killing each other, we couldn't believe that. We saw that in downtown of this city, you're doing a nonviolent hip hop cipher that's been going on for the past 13 years, and we want to make you a part of that story." So, episode 26, season one of Hulu Impact, they followed me around and just kind of learned about what I had been doing with Jacksonville hip hop artists in the city. And through that relationship, it's kind of like reflective of the relationship I've had with downtown doing this positive thing at the art walk for so many years. We've never had any violence. We don't, there's no cursing on the mic, and then that kind of curbs what's going on under behind the scenes in our city. And
A little bit of an antidote to the violence. Let's take
yeah,
a little listen to you performing at Lyricist live so people can get a sense of your style.
Stir it up in the pot like gumbo, man. I'm here to cook up a lot. MCs gotta know I'm here to take their spot. If they want it, I awaken. Yes, I'm never faking. Yeah, they bogling like Jamaicans. Trying to dance, but I see them. They got a lot of flow. You're laughing, man. I'm up and popping those.
So, you are always a regular performer there, but you also involve children. There's a lot of times that we watch your videos that you post to Instagram or Facebook, and you've
yeah.
got a little kid on the mic,
Mhm.
maybe for the first time. You do a lot of work with kids.
Right. We just I just had kids from our school at Global Outreach uh perform a song with the mayor, a jingle that teaches people about not littering in Jacksonville and keeping Jacks beautiful. This is what I've always envisioned for Jacksonville. No violence, no cursing, no littering, just keeping just an overall cleanliness to our city in every way. And that's kind of how I started, the relationship with the art wall, because they saw the value in what I was doing and allowed me to curate a space on Laura Street. So I had been to multiple locations downtown, Main Street, Laura Street, Forsyth, and every time I went to a spot, I asked for a location where it wasn't that much foot traffic, because I believed I could bring the foot traffic there. So we had been doing this for the course of 13 years, and the art walk footprint expanded. We started doing things different places, Ocean Street, way outside of the epicenter of the art walk inside the park, and when after COVID, we got asked, will we come back? And, they gave me the opportunity to host vendors on Laura Street. because I was for the vendors. I would with a microphone advertise for those vendors while they were out there. So it wasn't like they were just waiting around. I'm bringing people to them. I'm saying, "Hey, come here. Listen, I'm rapping about this vendor,
Right. Right.
First Coast Connect. Listen to the dialect. Yo, write the check." It's things like that are, with the hip hop community, and we know the biggest cultural influence for most businesses nowadays is through hip hop music, and it kind of really speaks for the community, and that's what I was doing with the art walk and what I was doing downtown with
I
the
want to
Lyricist
just
Mob.
reset for a second. If you're just joining us, we're talking about changes at Art Walk, including new vendor fees. If you have thoughts, comments, or suggestions, or you want to talk to one of our panelists, you are welcome to give us a call at 904-549-2937. You can email First Coast Connect at wjct.org, or you can reach out on social media, X, Facebook, or Instagram at FCC On Air. Tony Allegretti, you were going to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this seems like a real spreadsheet decision. I wish there was someone from DVI here to talk about it because it's a little head scratching. They can't be making a ton off of artists away from Hemming. Like I understand Hemming, right? It's a central spot, paying vendors or vendors paying to be there and artists paying to be there. But to take um, artists is really should be our last solution for trying to make money, right? Like, and so what is that? What is that total we're trying to make up with that? And if it's some amount, is there a benevolent, company or endeavor that would, I think of like, Jesse Ball or the, different institutions around town that love the fact that Art Walk brings our cultural community out. And I have a ton of art that I've purchased from Art Walk over the years. Half of them I couldn't find that artist now if I tried, right? And so it's people really dipping their toe into something that that may be long term, like Michael here, or it may be in Cherry, it may be somebody that just wants to put their creativity out there. And if you have to make your first $45 back, it may be a deterrent to get those new creative people out.
And we should say, I mean, to your point, we did invite DVI on the program. We reached out to them a couple of times. They issued a statement to us that was basically the statement that they issued to all local media when asked about it, which was sort of, these fees, have been created. Our team's committed to maintaining the high quality and accessibility of Art Walk, but no real details about the why. But I will say that the letter that they sent you, Mal, was a little more revealing because you have been a vendor. You receive a stipend from DVI for the work that you do, not just
Yes.
for the performance, but also for the work that you did curating other vendors on the block that you worked in. And so in their letter to you, when you asked about these new fees, they said a couple of things that were new to the conversation. One, they said, quote, the Office of Special Events, that's the city's office, has become more strict about enforcement, and DVI is responsible for ensuring complete compliance. They said this was part of, quote, a major shift in our permitting process by the city. And, quote, vendors are now required to be formally documented and approved through a centralized application process. And so the information that they shared with you there is a little more than perhaps we've known. But that same letter to you, they're basically saying, we're not in need of your services anymore, at least for part of that.
Right. The thing is that in turn of with me supporting the vendors, writing content for them, promoting them, I'm a writer for different companies. Like I've written a couple songs for JEA, and I'm pretty good at promoting other companies, and what I was doing for my vendors was promoting them with my voice. And I feel like, if if JEA, the person that cut all these lights on, sees the value in me doing that and supports me in doing it, that means I would be able to, or well, I should be able to promote the small business owner, you know, for, just promoting their brand. And then in turn, they would support me and what I've been doing at the Art Walk for 14 years. So, um, in that case, I would just uh, promote my vendors on my block. They would then support me with donations or however they wanted to support. You know.
And that's become a little bit of a sticking point on social media. We should say, just like in full transparency,
Mhm.
there have been some people that have said the fees that they were paying to you, vendor
Mhm.
fees to you, um, may not have felt entirely voluntary, or that
Yeah.
that maybe they felt pressured to make donations. It DVI doesn't specifically mention anything about that in their
Yeah.
correspondence with you, but that has been something that other people on the block have said. So I guess
Right.
what are your thoughts about that?
Well, if I'm running the Lyricist Live and curating a block, if I didn't put some kind of guidelines there, I could have a million vendors there on the block, or I can have the ones I selected who supports the Lyricist Live and my efforts downtown and what I've been doing. So out of those people that are supporting the Lyricist Live, they're the ones that we're picking for downtown, and nobody really has a complaint about it because they see the value in what I'm bringing. They know in my area those vendors are doing well. All my vendors in my area on Laura Street were doing well enough to, continuously do it as long as they let me curate the block on Laura Street, and I've been doing it around the city, and it's always been beneficial for wherever I was in that footprint for the vendors to be close to where I was
Yeah,
because I had the microphone supporting those vendors, speaking their name, telling people to buy from them.
right.
And that might have got pushed back because everybody can't be there. I can't. I'm running the cipher with the kids. I'm doing this thing. I can't literally. It can't literally be all about vendors. It
Right.
has to be about the artistic community and the kids and this the way we're promoting no violence and no cursing in Jacksonville with a hip hop cipher. That is the main thing.
I want to get to a couple of comments that we've gotten. One is John on Facebook, and he says it's nice to hear someone acknowledge that the food trucks take away from the success of brick and mortar restaurants.
Mm.
This should be an issue considered throughout the city and not strictly downtown. That is something that has been an issue, Tony, for restaurants. I mean, you kind of
Yeah.
noted it, and they are charging an additional fee now for food trucks as well. There has been some, relationship sometimes when a restaurant has a food truck outside and maybe even has been charging the food truck rent to be out there because they're losing a little
At
income.
Art Walk?
Mhm.
That would be interesting. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's really difficult to I have a lot of experience to sustain a restaurant downtown, and when you have big events
You've
and
had
you
restaurants, we
I
should
have
say.
had restaurants downtown, yeah, and I think it's you know, I don't want people know where I live, so I don't want to talk about bad about food trucks. This is a whole show you could do on food trucks, right?
Mhm.
And they have a place, but they're at Art Walk, they're literally right in a lot of restaurants. Uh, are morning and lunch serve that crowd, the sort of restaurants that remain standing, and we subsidize DIA, which is different than DVI, subsidize a lot of new restaurants, and a lot of probably $1 million worth of restaurants subsidies have shuttered already. I mean, this is not a great environment right now post pandemic. The workforce is different. I think I do feel like it's an advantage to be able to roll in, pay a little bit, make a bunch of money, and then roll out. It's a lot different than having to pay your taxes and pay DVI, frankly, because that's how they get paid is from the millage. So it's a little bit of a conundrum. I'm not fully against food trucks, but I do feel like it's a pop up scenario, kind of a one sparky thing where we're it's not the real market. The real market, the real economy is the people who get up and open their doors every day and have bathrooms and have roofs and
Yeah. Sherry,
HVAC.
yeah. Sherry, I'm curious your thoughts about that because the experience at Art Walk for a lot of people walking around, they've done polls in the past that have said, we want more food trucks, right? It is something that for the vendors can kind of liven up the scene. But to Tony's point, this balance between trying to infuse downtown, the permanent tenants of downtown versus kind of the festival atmosphere of downtown. What is your thought about sort of the interaction between those sometimes competing goals?
Well, as far as the food trucks go, I think they're an addition that may make people come. Sometimes people just come to pick up something quick uh, and just kind of browse around a little bit. But I don't really have much of an opinion about their effect. I enjoy it because I get to run and get something to eat while I'm out there working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Michael, we should say we've got for folks who are watching our live stream, some images of your artwork. Do you have any sense of your long-term commitment to Art Walk? Is it something that is servicing you enough as an artist that you want to continue participating over the long term, or do you think that this is more of a kind of temporary get your name out there effort for you?
It's definitely a temporary get my name out there sort of thing. I would like to be more ingrained into it. Have a section where I come out, do live paintings for people, whatever it may be.
Mm.
But it's most definitely temporary due to the changes. Because I mean, there's been some changes over just the past like 3 years. So like major changes. So
Yeah. We got a message from MG saying Seattle's Art Walk involved many galleries in one part of downtown, not the entire downtown. There are very few galleries downtown, which is, I'm not sure the net number of galleries from the beginning to the end, but there have been a lot of pop-up galleries that have
Yeah.
set up here and there. And you talked about available spaces or flexible spaces, I think you called them. I mean, some might just call those vacancies downtown, but there have been a lot of sort of temporary facilities that have set up around
Yeah, well,
Art
and a
Walk.
lot have been long-standing. So I think the one above the jewelers, there it used to be called Hemming Jewelers. Hopefully they changed the name, but that what's that space called? I'm blanking. And then that there's a
Kind
there's
of
a
kitty
whole
corner from the
there's a
courthouse.
whole group that was in the Bank of America building. I think they were in the they may now be in the what it was formerly Wells Fargo. I think things changed so much. It's been 22 years
Oh yeah.
since we started. Like literally this week's 22 years old Art Walk. So there's
Which it does
Wow.
speak to its staying power,
yeah.
just the time of
Well,
it.
and I'll say this too. So I hate talking about problems all the time without like suggesting solutions, and this is just totally asked for opinion. But I think there's two things. One, let's find some sponsorship for it, right? DVI needs to I don't know, soften the cost, right? That's their problem. Let's find someone to support artists. There's got to be somebody out there that's really loves artists and that would want to help with that. If it's truly, if the regulatory sort of deciders need money, let's not take it from the artists. Let's figure out another way. And the second is that if DVI went away, like there was nothing, I think people will come out to Wednesday. Now it's ingrained in us, right? It's part of us. People would come out and enjoy Jacksonville and enjoy our cultural thing. Do we really need to festivalize it and make it regulated and be so overtly in control of this? Like maybe,
Managed.
maybe
Yeah.
if they didn't do that, I think people would still go around downtown, and maybe we wouldn't have as many sidewalk things because you do need permits and all that. But maybe people will be going back inside these places that the original, sort of mission was to get people to participate in the businesses that are there. And we have, I think, maybe even fewer than when we started now.
Well, we should say it would be nice to hear from DVI on this to kind of help suss out some of the reasoning behind it and just in the interest of transparency. So our invite to them to continue the conversation remains open, but we're going to have to leave it there. Tony Allegretti, Mal Jones, Michael Taylor, and Sherry Shine, thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.